Hey, welcome to Book Reading Challenge and the chapter 9 of The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, written by Robin Sharma. And we have covered 7 rituals in the previous videos. Now let us continue the last 3 rituals of radiant living that shared by Robin Sharma in his book The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Coming to the 8th ritual of radiant living, it is nothing but ritual of spoken word. The sages had a series of mantras which they would recite morning, afternoon, and night. They told me that this practice was immensely effective in keeping them focused, strong, and happy. What is a mantra? John asked. A mantra is nothing more than a collective collection of words strung together to create a positive effect. In Sanskrit, man means mind, tra means freeing. So, a mantra is a phrase which is designed to free the mind. And believe me, John, mantras accomplish this objective in a very powerful way. Are you using mantras in your daily routine? I sure am. They are my faithful companions wherever I go, whether I am on the bus, walking to the library, or watching the world go by in a park. I am constantly affirming all that is good in my world through the mantras. So, mantras are spoken, then do not have to be. Written affirmations are also very effective. But I have found that repeating a mantra aloud has a wonderful effect on my spirit. When I need to feel motivated, I might repeat, I am inspired, I am disciplined, and I am energized out loud 2 or 300 times. I'm inspired, I am disciplined, I'm energized, I'm inspired, I'm disciplined, I'm energized, like this 200 or 300 times. To maintain the supreme sense of self confidence I have cultivated, I repeat, I am strong, I am able, I am calm, I am strong, I am able, and I am calm. I even use mantras to keep me youthful and vital, Julian admitted. How could a mantra keep you young? Words affect the mind in a pronounced way. Whether they are spoken or whether they are written, they are powerful influences. While what you say to others is important, even more important is what you say to yourself. Is that meant by self-talk? Exactly. You are what you think about all day long. You are also what you say to yourself all day long. If you say that you are old and tired, this mantra will be manifested in your external reality. If you say you are weak and lack enthusiasm, this too will be the nature of your world. But if you say that you are healthy, dynamic, and fully alive, your life will be transformed. You see, the words you say to yourself affect your self image, and your self image determines what actions you take. For example, if your self image is one of a person who lacks the confidence to do anything of value, you will only be able to take actions which are aligned with this trait. On the other hand, if your self image is one of the radiant individual who is fearless, again, all your actions will correspond to this quality. Your self image is a self fulfilling prophecy of sorts. How so? If you believe that you are unable to do something, let us say find the perfect partner or live a stress free life, your beliefs will affect your self image. In turn, your self image will prevent you from taking steps to find the perfect partner or to create a serene life to yourself. It will actually sabotage any efforts you might make in this direction. Why does it work in this way? Simple. Your self image is a governor of sorts. It will never let you act in a way that is inconsistent with it. The beautiful thing is that you can change your self image just like you can change everything else in your life if it is not serving to enhance it. Mantras are a great way accomplish this objective. And when I change my inner world, I change my outer world. I said beautifully. When I change my inner world, I change my outer world. My how quickly you learn, Julian said, giving me the thumbs up sign he had used so much in his former life as a star litigator, which leads us into the ninth ritual of radiant living quite nicely. This is the ritual of a congruent character. It is sort of an offshoot of the self-image concept we were just talking about. Simply stated, this ritual requires you to take daily incremental action to build up your character. Strengthening your character affects the way you see yourself and the actions you take. The actions you take come together to form your habits, and this is important. Your habits lead you to your destiny. Perhaps Yogi Raman articulated the formula best when he stated, "You sow a thought and you reap an action. You reap an action and you sow a habit. You sow a habit and you reap a character. You sow a character, you reap your destiny." What kinds of things should I do to build my character? Asked by John. Anything that cultivates your virtues. Before you ask me what I mean by virtues, let me clarify the concept. The wise people of the Himalayas believed strongly that a virtuous life was a meaningful life. So they governed all of their actions by a series of timeless principles. But I thought you said that they governed their lives by their purpose. Yes, this is quite so. But there is life's calling included living in a manner congruent to these principles, ones that their ancestors held dear to their hearts for thousands of years. What are these principles, Julian? John asked. They are simply stated: industry, compassion, humility, patience, honesty, and courage. When all your actions are congruent and aligned with these six principles: industry, compassion, humility, patience, honesty, and courage. When you align with these principles, you will feel a deep sense of inner harmony and peace. Living this way will inevitably lead you to spiritual success. This is because you will be doing what is right. You will be acting in a way that is in accordance with the laws of nature and the laws of the universe. This is when you will start to tap into the energy of another dimension. Call it a higher power if you will. This is also when your life will move from the ordinary into the realm of the extraordinary, and you begin to sense the sacredness of your being. This is the first step to lifelong enlightenment. Have you tasted this experience? John asked to Julian. I have, and I believe you will too. Do the right things, act in a way that is congruent with your true character, act with integrity, be guided by your heart, the rest will take care of itself. You are never alone, replied Julian. What do you mean? I'll explain it to you another time, perhaps. For now, remember that you must do little things every day to build your character. You must do little things every day to bring your character. As Emerson said, character is higher than the intellect. A great soul will be strong to live as well as to think. Your character is built when you act in a way that corresponds with the principles I have just mentioned. If you fail to do this, true happiness will always elude you. And the final ritual asked by John. This is the all important ritual, and it is nothing but ritual of simplicity. This ritual requires you to live a simple life. As Yogi Raman said, one must never live in the thick of the thin things. Focus only on your priorities, those activities which are truly meaningful. Your life will be uncluttered, rewarding, and exceptionally peaceful. This is, I promise you. He was right. The moment I started to separate the wheat from the chaff, harmony filled my life. I stopped living at the frenetic pace to which I had grown accustomed. I stopped living my life in the eye of the tornado. Instead, I slowed down and took the time to smell the proverbial roses. What things did you do to cultivate simplicity? I stopped wearing expensive clothes. I kicked my addiction to 6 newspapers a day. I stopped needing to be available to everyone all the time. I became a vegetarian and I ate less. Basically, I reduced my needs. You see, John, unless you reduce your needs, you will never be fulfilled. You will always be like that gambler in the Las Vegas, staying at the roulette wheel for just one more spin in the hope that your lucky number will come up. You will always want more than you have. How can you ever be happy? But earlier you told me that happiness comes from achievement. Now you are telling me to reduce my needs and be content with less. Isn't this a paradox? Excellent point, John. Brilliant, in fact. It might seem like a contradiction, but it isn't. Lifelong happiness does come through striving to realize your dreams. You are at your best when you are moving forward. The key is not to make your happiness contingent on finding that elusive pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. For example, even though I was a millionaire many times over, I told myself that success to me meant having $300 million in my bank account. I told myself that $300 million in my bank account resembles my success. This was a recipe for disaster. 300 million? I asked in his disbelief. Yes, $300 million. So no matter how much I had, I was never satisfied. I was always unhappy. It was nothing more than greed. I can now admit this freely. It was much like the story of the King Midas. I am sure you have heard that one, King Midas, who touched the things and it will turn into the gold. Sure, the man who loved gold so much, he prayed that everything he touched would turn into gold. When his wish was granted, he rejoiced. That was until he realized that he could not eat because his food had turned to gold and so on, so forth. Right. Similarly, I was so money driven that I could not enjoy all that I had. There came a time when I all that I could eat was bread and water. Julian said, growing very quiet and pensive. Are you serious? I always thought you ate at the best restaurants with all those celebrity friends of yours. That was in the early days. Not many people know about this, but the burden of my out of control lifestyle gave me a bleeding ulcer. I could not even eat a hot dog without getting sick. What a life! All that money and all I could eat was bread and water. It was pathetic, really. Julian caught himself, but I am not one to live in the past. It was another one of the life's great lessons. As I told you earlier, pain is a powerful teacher. Pain is a powerful teacher. Pain is a powerful teacher. To transcend pain, I had to first experience it. I wouldn't be there where I am today without it, he said stoically. Any ideas on what should I do to bring the ritual of simplicity into my life, into my own life? John asked Julian. There are so many things you can do. Even little things will make you a difference. Like what? Stop picking up the phone every time it rings. Stop wasting time reading junk email. Stop eating out 3 times a week. Give up your golf club membership and spend more time with your kids. Spend a day in a week without your watch. Watch the sunrise every few days. Sell your mobile phone and dump the pager. Need I continue? Julian asked rhetorically. I get the point, but the selling the mobile phone? I asked anxiously, feeling as a baby might at the doctor's suggestion that his umbilical cord should be cut. Like I have said, my duty is to share the wisdom I have learned through my journey with you. You need not apply every strategy to make your life work. Try the techniques and use those that feel right to you. I know nothing to extremes, everything in moderation. Precisely. I have to admit though, even everyone of your strategies sounds great. But will they really bring about profound shifts in my life in only 30 days? It will take even less than 30 days and even more, said Julian with his trademark look of dimpled mischievousness. Here we go. Do explain, oh wise one. Julian will be fine. Although wise one would have looked formidable on my old letterhead, he joked. I said it will take less than 30 days because true life change is spontaneous. Spontaneous? Yes, it happens in the blink of an eye. The very moment you decide from the deepest core of your being that you will rise your life to its highest level. In that instant, you will be changed person, one set on the course of his destiny. And why longer than 30 days? I promise you that by practicing these strategies and tools, you will see marked improvements in 1 month from this moment. You will have more energy, less worries, more creativity, and less stress in every aspect of your life. Having said this, the sages methods are not of the quick fix kind. They are ageless traditions which are meant to be applied daily, every day, for the rest of your days. If you stop applying them, you will find that you will gradually slide back into your olden days. After Julian had explained the 10 rituals of radiant living to me, he paused. I know that you want me to keep going, so I will. I believe so strongly in what I am sharing with you that I don't mind keeping you up all night. Perhaps this is a good time to start get a little deeper. What exactly do you mean? I think all that I have heard tonight is pretty deep, I said in surprise. The secrets I have explained will you allow you and all those you come into contact with to create the lives you desire. But there is much more to the philosophy of the sages of the Shivana than meets the eye. What I have taught you up to now has been immensely practical, but you must know something of the underlying spiritual current which flows through the principles I have outlined. If you do not understand what I am speaking about, don't worry at this point. Simply take it in and chew on it for a while. You can digest it later. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Precisely, said Julian, now smiling. You always were a quick study. Okay, let's hear the spiritual stuff. I said energetically, unaware that it was nearly 2:30 in the early morning. Within you lies the within you lies the sun, the moon, the sky, and all the wonders of this universe. The intelligent intelligence that created these wonders is the same force that created you. All things around you come from the same source. We are all one. I am not sure I follow you. Every being on this earth, every object on this earth has a soul. All souls flow into one. This is the soul of the universe. You see, John, when you nourish your own mind and your own spirit, you are really feeding the soul of the universe. When you improve yourself, you are improving the lives of all those around you. And when you have the courage to advance confidently in the direction of your dreams, you begin to draw upon the power of the universe. As I told you earlier, life gives you what you ask of it. It is always listening. So self mastery and kaizen will help me help others by helping me help myself. Something like that. As you enrich your mind, as you care for your body, and as you nurture your spirit, soul, you will come to understand exactly what I'm saying. Enrich your mind, care for body, nurture your spirit. Julian, I know you mean well, but self mastery is a pretty high deal for a 215-pound family man who, up to now, has spent more time on client development than personal development. What happens if I fail? Failure is not having the courage to try nothing more and nothing less. The only thing standing between the most people and their dreams is the fear of failure. Yet failure is essential to success in any endeavor. Failure tests us and allows us to grow. It offers us lessons and guides us along the path of enlightenment. The teachers of the East say that every arrow that hits the bull's eye is the result of 100 misses, means 100 failures. It is a fundamental law of nature to profit through loss. Never fear failure. Failure is your friend. Failure is your friend. Embrace failure? I asked in disbelief. The universe favors the brave. When you resolve once and for all to lift your life to its highest level, the strength of your soul will guide you. Yogi Raman believed that everyone's destiny was laid out for them at birth. This path always leads to a magical place filled with magnificent treasures. It was up to each individual to develop the courage to walk this way. There is a story he shared with me that I would like to pass on to you. Once upon a time, in ancient India, there was an evil giant who owned a magnificent castle overlooking the sea. As the giant had been away for many years fighting in the wars, the children of the nearby village used to come into the giant's beautiful garden and play with great delight. One day, the giant returned and threw all of the younger children out of his garden. Never return here, he yelled as he slammed the huge oak door in his disgust. He then erected a huge marble wall around the garden to keep the children out. Winter came with bitter cold, which is native to the northernmost parts of the Indian subcontinent, and the Giant wished the warm would soon return. Spring visited the village which lay below the giant's castle, but the icy claws of the winter refused to leave his garden. Then one day the giant finally smelled the fragrances of spring and felt the radiance of the sun through his windows. Spring has finally returned, he cried, running out into the garden. But the giant was unprepared for the sight which greeted him. The children of the village had somehow managed to climb over the castle wall and were playing in the garden. It was because of their presence that the garden had been transformed from a wintry wasteland into a lush place filled with roses, daffodils, and orchids. All the children laughed and giggled with joy, but one. From the corner of his eye, the giant spotted a little boy who was much smaller than all the other children. Tears ran from his eyes as he did not have the strength to climb the wall into the garden. The giant felt sad for this boy and for the first time in his life regretted his evil ways. I will help this child, he said, running towards him. When all the other children saw the giant coming, they ran from the garden, fearing for their lives. But the tiny little boy stood his ground. I will slay the giant, he stammered. I will defend our playground. As the giant approached the child, he opened his arms. I am your friend, he said. I have come to help you over the wall and into the garden. This will be your garden now. The little boy, now a hero amongst the children, rejoiced in happiness and gave the giant the golden necklace which he had always worn around his neck. This is my lucky charm, he said. I want you to have it. From that day onwards, the children played with the giant in his wonderful garden. But the brave little boy, whom the giant loved the most, never did return. As time went on, the giant to grow ill and the frail. The children continued to play in a garden, but the giant no longer had the strength to keep them company. In those quiet days, it was the little boy who the giant thought of most. One day, in the midst of the particular bitter winter, the giant glanced out his window and saw a truly miraculous sight. Though most of the garden was covered in the snow, at the center of the garden there stood a magnificent rose bush overflowing with spectacularly colored flowers. Next to the roses stood the little boy who the giant loved. The boy was smiling sweetly. The giant danced with delight and rushed outside to embrace the child. Where have you been all these years, my young friend? I have missed you with all my heart. The boy was thoughtful in his response. Many years ago, you lifted me over the wall into your magical garden. Now I have come to take you into mine. Later that day, when the children came to visit the giant, they found him lying lifeless on the ground. From head to the toe, he was covered by 1,000 beautiful roses. Always be brave, John, like that little boy. Stand your ground and follow your dreams. They will lead you to your destiny. Follow your destiny, and it will lead you into the wonders of the universe. And always follow the wonders of the universe, for it will lead you to a special garden filled with roses. As I looked over at Julian to tell him that this story had touched me deeply, I saw something that startled me. This rock hard legal gladiator who had spent the better part of his life defending the rich and famous had started to weep. Let us see the summary of the chapter 9. And the name symbol of the chapter 9 is sumo wrestler. And the virtue of this chapter 9 is practice Kaizen. Kaizen is nothing but continuous improvement. The wisdom, 3 points wisdom that Robin Sharma shared here is self-mastery is the DNA of life mastery. Success on the outside begins within. Third statement is enlightenment comes through the consistent cultivation of your mind, body, and soul. And the techniques, 2 techniques that Robin Sharma provided here in this chapter 9 is do the things that you fear. And the second technique is the 10 ancient rituals of radiant living, which are most important to implement every day in your life. And he wind up this chapter with a powerful quotation. Let us see what does the quotation says that. The universe favors the brave. When you resolve to lift your life into its highest level, the strength of your soul will guide you to a magical place with magnificent treasures. See you in the chapter 10. Until then, stay connected, keep progressing. See you there.